Welcome to the My K12 Career Radio Podcast with career advice, uplifting stories, and life lessons from K12 educators just like you. And now, your host, Mr. Joseph Williams III.
What's up, K12 Nation? This is Joseph, and welcome to the My K12 Career Radio Podcast, where I talk with amazing K12 educators every single week. Today we have on the show Ms. Hayley Viente. Hayley is from Atlanta, Georgia. She received her bachelor's degree and her master's degree from the University of Florida. Hayley began her career as a special education teacher in Pompano Beach, Florida. Later on in her career, she continued working as a special education teacher in Atlanta, Georgia. She currently works for Georgia Cyber Academy, K12 Incorporated, as a virtual special education teacher. Hayley chose the field of special education because she wanted to make a difference in her students' lives. Her proudest moment as a K12 educator came when, after having the same students for 2 years in a row, more than one parent asked her to move up with their children to the next grade level because she had made such a positive impact on their lives. So let's go right to the interview and hear what Hayley has to share with K12 Nation.
Hi, Hayley. We are so happy you came on the show to share with K12 Nation. I've told K12 Nation a little bit about you through your bio. Why don't you fill in the blanks and tell us what's going on in your life and in your career right now?
Hi, Joseph. Thank you so much for having me on today. Well, I am currently a sixth grade special education science and social studies teacher in a virtual school.
Okay.
And I have been teaching for 14 years, so this is my fifth year teaching in the virtual setting.
Wow, sixth grade. So you mentioned several subjects there. You're responsible for all those subjects?
I actually co-teach with a general education teacher, both the science and social studies.
Excellent. All right. So what do you love most and what do you love least about working as a virtual teacher? That's pretty cool.
What I love most about being a virtual teacher is that not only do I get to help the students that I'm teaching, but I also get to form these really strong relationships with my students' learning coaches, which is typically their parents, but it doesn't always have to be, and then even their families in general. And then I'd say what I love the least is pretty typical of what most educators would say, I bet, that there's so much paperwork and not enough money in education.
That's very true. I mean, and you're so right. I mean, that's one of the most common answers that I get from educators across this country. Hayley, did you always want to work in this field, K-12 education?
I decided when I was in college that I wanted to be a special education teacher, and I specifically chose special education because I wanted the extra challenge to push myself a little bit further than sometimes I might think would be able to work, I guess. So special education I felt like was that additional challenge I was looking for. Yeah,
well, that's something we definitely have in common. I taught special ed for 10 years before I became an administrator. And I think special education actually made me a better teacher because, you meet students on so many different levels and you have to differentiate and you really have to kind of perfect your craft to ensure that you are reaching all of your students. So thanks for sharing that. Hayley, I believe that after parents, K-12 educators have the greatest impact on our youth. Can you share with K-12 Nation about a student whose life you've impacted for the better?
Okay, so for this, I think what I'm going to do is instead of telling you about a student's life who I've impacted, I'd like to tell you about a student that's impacted my life. And this is actually a current situation. A student that I have on my caseload currently has a lot of physical disabilities. Cognitively, he's really intelligent in the gifted program, but physically his body is really almost failing him. He's terminal.
Oh, wow. How old is he, Hayley?
He is 11 years old.
Oh, my God.
And he we've only been in school a month, but right away, in speaking to him and his mom, they just really touched me and just made me believe that virtual education is really important for students out there because there's students like him who in brick and mortar, he wasn't able to come to school at the regular time that all the other kids came. So he had a modified schedule where he came at 10 o'clock in the morning, and he was missing, a good portion of the day coming that late in the morning, especially because you try to do the hardcore academics early on usually, especially in elementary. So
right.
This provided him with a way in which he can still be in the gifted program. He can still challenge his mind because he's very intelligent and he loves to push himself, and he just really, him and his mom have really inspired me and made me realize that my influence and my help is really important, because to get him the services that he needs and make sure that they have everything to make them comfortable and make him successful, help him be successful, has really been a blessing.
Well, I thank you for sharing that, because that's a powerful story. Because I was actually going to ask you, you work in a virtual setting, and, what is the difference between working in a virtual setting versus a brick and mortar? But you just sharing that story with K12 Nation just makes me realize that, there is a need for that. Can you share with K12 Nation exactly how many students, you say you're in the state of Georgia, so can you share with K12 Nation about how many students are in your virtual school in the state of Georgia?
Yes, my school is a public charter school, and we have 14,000 students, K through 12.
Wow. That's not a school. That's a school district. Oh, my goodness.
Right. We typically compare ourselves to a district because of the sheer size, but technically we are one school.
Wow. Good Lord. Hayley, do you have a mentor who you've leaned on for guidance in your K-12 career?
I actually don't have one particular mentor that I've leaned on throughout my career, but I believe that the best educators learn from other educators and use ideas from those that they work closely with, or even those that they might have kind of been able to observe throughout their career during professional development activities. Sometimes you get those activities where you have to observe another teacher and kind of say what worked and what didn't. So one of the best tools that's helped me throughout my career as a special education teacher is that I've co-taught with so many different teachers over the year, and I've learned so much from various methods and teaching styles that I've observed or participated in. So, for example, this year I'm currently teaching with two excellent teachers that I haven't had the opportunity to work with prior, and I love the new ideas that they've brought to the table. I haven't used them before, and so that to me has been the most influential, is the fact that I've been able to observe so many different teachers.
That's good. So basically you're mentoring them in a way, and they're helping mentor you as well. So y'all can learn from each other. That's great. Now, Hayley, you and I actually connected on LinkedIn. Has being on LinkedIn helped you network and helped your K-12 career?
Absolutely. I mean, like you said, I wouldn't be speaking with you today if it weren't for LinkedIn. So for me, I love that I can connect with so many different educators in various places and multiple sectors of education. So absolutely.
Excellent. Hayley, if you could recommend one book for our K-12 Nation listeners, what would it be and why?
I would recommend Under-Resourced Learners. It's called 8 Strategies to Boost Student Achievement. It's by Ruby Payne. And
okay.
I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but she was recently a speaker at a professional development that all the teachers at my school attended. It was really a phenomenal workshop. I highly recommend her to any schools looking for an effective speaker.
Yeah.
We implemented a lot of her ideas at the beginning of the school year to help us kind of develop relationships, especially being in a virtual setting. It's real important for us to develop those relationships with our students, and I found them to be really engaging and powerful, so I would highly recommend that book.
Thank you for sharing that. I think Ruby Payne is the one that wrote that book about poverty, too, right?
Yes. Yeah, she's more than one.
Thank you. Hayley, could you name one daily habit that you believe contributes to your K-12 career success and why?
One daily habit that I believe contributes to my success is my organizational skills, specifically in the virtual world. I mean, organizational skills in the brick-and-mortar setting are exceptionally important, but maintaining organization when you're holding a special ed caseload of 26 students that you're not seeing face-to-face daily is extremely important to keep that all, in order, and your role in making sure that they're getting the services that they need is vital. in order for that to happen for each individual student, you have to have a strong organizational system to keep track of everything.
So in a virtual environment, do you actually have, I know you probably have somebody that is supervising you, but how does that work? Is there a way for you guys to check in, check out? Do they monitor how much you're on the computer? How does that work?
Absolutely. We have an instant messaging system that we use, so it's easy for us to quickly ask somebody a question. We have lead teachers, so those are our kind of go-tos. They're monitoring us and making sure that we're getting the things done that we need to get done. We're observed just like you would be observed in a brick-and-mortar setting. They can pop into our classroom at any point, log in, and watch what we're doing. So, yeah.
Wow. Do y'all have annual evaluations just like a regular teacher in a
Oh, absolutely. School? We're a public school, so we're on the same system that all the other Georgia schools are on.
Oh, okay. Excellent. Mm-hmm. Hayley, where do you see yourself in your K-12 career in 5 years?
Let's see. I see myself taking my educational career to the next level, and I'm not exactly sure what that looks like, but I'd like to be able to reach more students on a broader level.
Okay.
So,
14,000. I mean, that's just too few. Yeah. I mean, I'm just playing. I'm just playing.
I don't think that I would do anything in the administrative sector, but I am open to multiple possibilities, and I think that my unique background of teaching special education in the brick-and-mortar setting as well as the virtual setting kind of gives me a little niche that most educators don't have. So I'm excited to see where that might take me.
Wow. What about a virtual special education school maybe?
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
Just a thought. Hayley, if you had to do it all over again, would you still become a K-12 educator?
Ooh, if I had to do it all over again, and I'm being honest.
Okay, that's fine.
I would probably become a speech therapist or an occupational therapist. And the reason that I say that is because I love working one-on-one with students or in very small groups. And as an educator, those are really rare opportunities. So being a speech therapist or an occupational therapist, you're still making a difference in a student's life, and you can build a stronger relationship. And then that's the part that I love, building those relationships.
Excellent. What is one success quote that you live by?
I like, do not judge me by my successes. Judge me by how many times I fell down and got back up again.
Please repeat that.
Do not judge me by my successes. Judge me by how many times I fell down and got back up again.
Powerful. I'm going to have to take that one from you, Hayley. That's really, really good. I love that. That is really, really powerful. That's what life is all about. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, we're going to fail a lot, probably more often than we actually succeed. It's really how we bounce back from those failures that's really going to define us. So thanks for sharing that. Hayley, my final question for you is a big one. Are you ready?
I think so.
Okay. Imagine you are the superintendent of your school district, which you have 14,000 students, or the Secretary of Education for the United States of America. If you had the power to change one thing, just one thing, what would it be and why?
All right, one thing. I could name multiple, but if I had to think of just one, I would significantly reduce the emphasis on standardized testing and really testing in general. A student scoring high on standardized tests doesn't always prove that a child's learning at the true sense of the word. So learning takes on many different forms, I think, and a child or school's worth, I don't feel, should be based on a single test, which is sadly often the case in schools now. Right. So that would probably be my wish.
Well, you know, if we was playing the Family Feud, that would be the number one answer on the board. Oh, my goodness. I mean, I have interviewed so many educators, and that is the number one answer I get, you know, just the total emphasis that we have in the United States on standardized tests. And I don't know the answer to that. I think you're right. I think there's multiple intelligences. It's just how do we assess it and without overkill, you know what I mean? So.
I mean, I think it has its place. I do. I don't want to say that we absolutely shouldn't do any sort of testing, but it's just everything kind of falls on that, it seems, lately. And it's gotten more and more, I think, as the years have gone on. So I don't know the answer, but that would be my change if I could change anything.
All right, well, I'm going to call Arnie Duncan right now and tell him that Hayley said, just playing, just kidding. Well, Hayley, I want to thank you so much for coming on the My K12 Career Radio podcast and sharing with K12 Nation. But before you leave, would you please give K12 Nation some parting words of guidance? Tell us how we can connect with you, and then we'll say goodbye.
You can connect with me on LinkedIn as you found me. Okay. Do you want me to give my email address or?
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, if you choose to, yeah.
Okay. I guess you can reach me at Hayley, Hayley, Viente @gmail.com.
Now, how do you say your last name?
Viente.
Viente. What is that? What nationality is that?
Well, I'm just a little bit of a mutt. I think it's a Spanish. A Spanish last name, but I'm a little bit of everything.
Excellent. Do you speak Spanish?
Oh, no, absolutely not.
No habla español, nada. Okay, I understand. Well, Hayley, we want to thank you once again for coming on the show, and we want to also salute you for the good work that you are doing in virtual K-12 education. And we just thank you for everything you're doing for the students, like the student that you have shared with us. We will talk to you again soon.
Thank you so much for having me.
K12 Nation, thank you for joining us on the My K12 Career Radio podcast. Please remember that you are the sum total of the 5 people that you hang around the most. So always surround yourself with like-minded, positive people who are only going to lift you higher. Visit myk12career.com for links and show notes to everything we chatted about today, as well as resources that will help you take your K-12 career to the next level. Are you subscribed to the My K-12 Career Radio podcast? You can subscribe through iTunes and listen every week to what amazing educators are doing in schools across the U.S. and the world. Please tell your friends and coworkers about the My K-12 Career Radio podcast. Also, if you want to share your story with K-12 Nation, please complete the podcast guest interest form on myk12career.com. Have an inspired day, and remember that as K-12 educators, we make all other professions possible. Please never give up on your students, never give up on your staff, or this noble K-12 profession, because you are definitely valued and you are most certainly needed. Until next time, keep the faith.